Township May Supervisors meeting come to order. Stand in the pledge of flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to acknowledge the declaration of a quorum. And we'll start with public comments.
So I have a public comment. I was told by the manager that, Tim, you told me I couldn't have the information which I was getting previously on a monthly basis. Is that true? Did you tell her not to give it to me?
I don't know what you're talking about. What information?
I asked for the solicitors and engineers bill, and Barbara told me you said don't give it to her. And then I said I'd file an RTK. So you
Say that?
wait, no, but they can't hear you back there.
Can't hear.
Speak up. Can't hear nothing.
I mean,
Not addressing you right now. I'm not sure what you're referring to. You can't hit me like that right off the top without.
and you can't tell people, the office not to give me the information.
No.
You can't
Yeah. Okay.
do that. So you violated your oath.
All right, we're opening it up to Peg Moulton. That's on first. You have a microphone up there, Peg?
There is,
Testing. Good evening and thank you. My name is Peg Moulton. I'm at Laurel Woods Lane, but I'm here tonight as your Heidelberg Township representative for the York County Rail Trail Authority, specifically the Hanover Trolley Trail Development Committee. So I'm proud to announce that we did have our grand opening of the completed section from Spring Grove all the way up to Sunnyside Road, which is right past Martin Road. So that entire section is complete, it's beautiful. It parallels the original section that went out as far as Sprinkle Road. So there's like a wide split. Thank you, Matt, for attending the ceremony. It was very well attended by residents and also public officials. It's just a fabulous day, and it's a great cause for celebration, so thank you, everybody. With that being said, and I noticed on the agenda, I am going to ask again for a donation to the York County Rail Trail Authority from the charity, charity bucket of money that we had from the COVID funds. So please consider a donation as a municipal member of the York County Rail Trail Authority. In addition to that, I want to remind you that we also had a presentation last September by Hoffman Homes for Youth, who are also requesting a donation. Hoffman Homes does have members from Heidelberg and also this part of York County that they serve, and they are would very much welcome a contribution. Finally, I wanted to remind everybody that this Friday, which is 2 days from now, is Give Local York. Give Local York is a wonderful opportunity for any of us to make donations online to a couple dozen, well no, many dozen nonprofits in our area, including the Rail Trail Authority, Hoffman Homes for Youth, and many, many other nonprofits. Significantly, we also have the Martin Life Center, the library in Spring Grove is on there. Also, Windy Hill is one of their recipients. So please, if you're so inclined, look online at the list of charities recipients of the Give Local York. It's Thursday night to Friday night online, and they also are having an event at Windy Hill, which you can go out and just learn more about it if you feel so inclined. But anyhow, thank you for everybody that participated in the opening. We are going to have a ribbon cutting on the section of Heidelberg Township. They have broken ground on Oil Creek, and I have gotten some questions about the equipment that people can see from 116 as you go towards Grandview. On the right-hand side, right before you get to that Dean's Auto Plaza, you can see a lot of like heavy, I don't know what to call it, front loaders and this and that equipment. That's the path that they created to get over to Oil Creek. And they are starting on the Oil Creek restoration, which is the most important thing. It's being done in 2 phases. Phase 1 is gonna be completed this spring and summer. I have a map up there. I can show you exactly where phase 1 is and exactly where they're gonna be starting. And there may be an opportunity for some people to be invited to the ribbon cutting on that groundbreaking. And I will certainly keep you posted because we're having a committee meeting this month. So I'll bring you up to date at the June meeting. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Peg. Now I'll turn it over to Matt to handle the general public comment.
Okay, is there anybody for any public comment? Please come forward. Name and address and somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 minutes.
Studio 6826 can record. So I wanted to address again, sadly, the issue of First Amendment and the fact that we are, noticed that during many of the last few meetings, there have been expressions of concern about the recording of video of public meetings and of the public comments during the public meetings, which is, well established as a right in this country, but also has been ratified, by the Supreme Court, and it's well understood all across this country that public meetings are, that it's perfectly okay to record public meetings, that it is perfectly desirable actually to have that information be made available to everyone who maybe doesn't make it to a meeting. And I just wanted to ask the question. We had the unfortunate incident last meeting where we put the First Amendment to a vote here, and sadly the First Amendment lost. It was a sad moment for Heidelberg, and I am just, I asked you, Tim, to kind of think about it, and I just was wondering if you had a time to kind of think about that, and whether you, I think it would be wonderful to see you kind of reaffirm that, yeah, if filming during these meetings is great. It is in fact a service to the community, to everyone who doesn't make it to these meetings. They get to see the videos online. I think it would be very reassuring if you suggested that, maybe that's the case.
Okay, well, my response is I don't mind being recorded, and I don't think anyone up here on the board does. The concern was there are residents that did not want to be recorded. And, for various reasons, with AI and whatnot. That's my position on it. I really don't mind if you want to do that. You can record us. That's my response. It was the residents' concern.
I'm happy you're doing it, so we don't have to. And as long as you're posting in the entirety of the recording, not editing anything, then I think that's,
And starting at the beginning and ending it right at the end. That's very important.
Yeah, I think all of that is being done. I think the videos are quite good. Now, of course, if what you're saying is every single video that then ends up on the internet has to then never be edited again, that's definitely not gonna happen. People are absolutely going to take those videos and cut a 3-minute or a 30-second piece that illustrates a specific point. And of course, they're gonna use that. That is going to happen, and I don't think there's any, hopefully, concern about that, because again, not everyone wants to listen to a 90-minute video in order to get to minute 48 when the item of interest happened.
Yeah, but my final comment to that would simply be that it can be taken out of context if you only see a very short portion of it. So I would encourage anyone who watches these videos to watch it through and not just look at the snippets that get posted.
100%. And one thing you can do is if someone posts a video that is cut, you now have access to a channel that has the whole video. You can make a larger cut and provide the context and show how that cut was wrong.
Yeah.
So it's actually benefits everyone.
Yeah, so my comment on that, Renan, is if Tim doesn't mind being filmed, why doesn't he answer the question of whether or not he told the manager not to give me the information? apparently he doesn't mind being filmed.
Okay, thanks, Fernand.
I just have a question.
Anybody
Where is-
else?
He said it's posted, I don't know where it's posted. We wanted to look at it. I don't know where to
Here
find
you
it.
go. May I?
I mean, no, I'm asking, well,
It's on a YouTube channel.
oh, wow, thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
Anyone else wants the YouTube channel information after the meeting, you can see me.
Mark Hudak, 929 Porter's Road. You know, I spent a lot of time looking at these financials. And Barb, maybe you can answer a question for me regarding, the 2019, 2000, and 2001 financial statements. Now, they're the only financial statements that have been issued to the state. But the question arises is supporting the balances in those financial statements. I'm a little confused on where we are as a township and understanding what those balances are. You've indicated that you can't find the balances, you take no responsibility over the balances. Who is responsible for the balances on the audited financial statements?
Mark, I think you and I have had this conversation numerous times.
Yeah, I think the public should know. I think I agree with you, because you can't support the balances. The question is what makes them up? What invoices make up the balances, right? And the question is we should know what they make up. I mean, that's important. I mean, we have these financial statements that you've sent to the state. You've talked about transparency. 2002 hasn't been released yet, correct? We haven't issued our financial statements for 2022.
They're finalizing it right now.
Okay, so we're on 2024, and we're way beyond what you expect, right? We're outsourcing our accounting function, we're outsourcing our audit function, we're outsourcing our payroll function, and we're not getting this transparency that you have indicated is important. I agree, I think it's important, but you can't say health insurance isn't important when that's the only information the township has from a financial statement. Well, Norma at least provided some remnants of the bills paid, so we had some idea what was going on. But there's no information in this document. I'm looking at the minutes today, there's subdivision information. I don't know what these subdivisions are. People should know what you're doing. I don't know, you're angry at me for asking for information to get the transparency, but we have no current financial information, and I haven't even asked for any of that information. So I'm asking you to be transparent, provide information at these meetings on what you're spending our money on, providing more detail to subdivision. What subdivision? What are we talking about? What are you giving them access? What are they doing on their property? And I'll stop asking for right to knows, but I asked you for the zoning decisions, right? And I asked you for them, you didn't put 2 approvals. The last approved zoning decisions weren't in the packet. I asked for them, you provided an unsigned copy. But looking at those, one of them says West Manheim Township approved it. So they clearly weren't a final document. So I'm like, as someone asking for information, there's some real warning bells on what's going on at this township. And I don't think we're real transparent. And I think your position is attack the person who's trying to get that transparency instead of opening up the information to the township. Let us know what's going on. Can anybody tell me what the subdivision information? I don't know. What does that say? What are we doing at these lots? I don't know. We're waiving stuff. Why are we waiving stuff? We have rules. So I just think we're just moving in a direction of less transparency. And that's why I think a lot of residents are angry. It's like, well, what are we doing here? Now we've got a position we're adding. Where's the analysis on that? Why do we need to add a position? Historically, we had a roadmaster work 200 hours a year, right? So now we're hiring a person that's gonna do it for 1,000. I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying why? Why do we have to add all this time to these positions? I'm not saying anything is improper, I'm just saying we need to have that discussion. We can't just go and hire a position.
Mark, I agree with you on one thing. We can probably mark this down in history. The expense paid report should be provided.
on a monthly basis. That should be an easy printout. So, I will talk to Barb and see if that's something we can do. Thank you. Anybody else for public comment?
Well, we've only had the bills paid report going unpublished for a year.
Yes, Karen.
Caroline's Old 330 Deacon Road. I just wanted to update the board on the Park and Rec Board's second meeting that went very, very well. We all came together with the homework that we had given each other for the first meeting. It was a lively discussion on different things such as fees for the park and usage of the park, and so it was a very, very good discussion. It was decided that we really needed to come up with a master plan before we moved forward with suggestions to the Board of Supervisors, which the deputy chair and myself walked through the park last Sunday. And we have a meeting scheduled with some folks that are gonna come out and take a look at the park and give us some ideas on moving forward with a master plan. So I wanted to update the board with that. We talked about some events and voted that we definitely wanna try to get some events in before the end of summer this year. So we wanna start out with a bang, and so that will be something that we will be bringing forward, hopefully soon with you all. The last thing I wanted to mention, and it's a concern that I've had for a very long time, and that's the usage of the ball fields. When John and I were walking through the park last weekend, we looked at the calendars that were attached in the dugouts, and at least in one of the dugouts on Sunday, there was supposed to be usage of the field from 2 to 4. John and I were there from about 1 o'clock until 4:30, and there wasn't anyone there. Now, it was raised at our meeting that there are concerns about folks not having access to the fields. If they're being booked, and I noticed that the same folks had booked the entire month of April on both fields. That was something that we shied away from for a while, when the previous park board was doing that, just so we would get as much usage of the fields as possible. Not having anyone playing on the fields when we were there, when they were supposed to be, sends a signal that there may be some concerns that we need to address with that. And I just wanted to bring it to your attention that it looks like people are booking the fields for months at a time again, and we really need to take a look at that.
Yeah, we should.
That information, I hope can be turned over to you guys forthwith, and the park board can start taking that responsibility. That would be my hope.
They're
So,
advisory.
Our understanding is there would have to be some changes made in order for us to do that, but
you can advise who can use the fields.
sounds good.
So that's what the fee schedule was supposed to help correct. They were supposed to pay a fee based on the number of games or the times they scheduled during the month. When that was first imposed, the teams cut back on the scheduling that they did. What I concluded from that was that the teams were booking the fields just to hold them in case. So, I don't know, have the teams been charged the appropriate fee?
Yes,
And they paid for those days?
yes.
Well, if they pay for them, then that's the way it goes.
Just a suggestion. Have you considered making the fee larger, but then making it reimbursable if you do use the field? What I've seen in other settings.
Yeah, that's stuff I think that should be taken up with the park committee. So, yes, ma'am.
Do I need to come up there?
Please.
I just wanted to express some concern about
can do about that.
I noticed that there's a state cop that sits down there now. I saw him twice. Is he monitoring the intersection or?
I think he's just on his way back to the station from doing the trucks
Okay.
over at, the,
I have a comment. I called our state representative's office, Seth Rose,
Yeah.
a year ago, about me taking my life in my hands to cross Iron Ridge quarters to get here to this meeting. I asked them to do a traffic study. They said, the township has to pay for that, and they won't pay for it. I said, there's a lot of accidents there. That's what he told me. Seth Grove's office told me that the township has to pay for a traffic study of Iron Ridge to Porters and 116, and that the township refused to pay for that. That's what the office told me, and I said, that's outrageous. It's a dangerous intersection. It gets to the point where I must turn right in 116.
Where's that
do a
office
U-turn in the
station?
township parking lot to get over to Porters.
We'll contact PennDOT and see if they're willing to do some type of study.
Well,
But
116 is a PennDOT.
the speed limit may have to be decreased before that intersection on 116, but I generally think just, we're coming out of winter into the nicer weather, and I generally am seeing, very careless driving, so people just need to slow down a little.
The volume of traffic is outrageous coming from Jackson Township down.
Oh, there's no doubt, there's no doubt.
And if we have to put a stoplight there or something, so be it. At least it'll be safe.
Yeah.
This is really, she's right, there are so many accidents.
Yeah. Sorry, Meg, we'll yield you a minute.
I'm sorry I took your time. I yield back.
The last thing I'd like to mention is that, a couple of years ago, we, put in rules of participation in place, and it seems that, there are a lot of residents who, want to, turn this into a I don't know, pulpit or something like that. And that, I think that everybody, including Supervisor King, needs to remember and reread those rules because, this is turning way too political and I don't appreciate it.
I did reread the rules, and Mr. Hanson was out of order, as I stated at the time, by commenting on, what a citizen
If you
was
are
doing.
commenting as a citizen, you're supposed to stand up and get up here and announce yourself at this podium. You're not to take
It was his comment.
Excuse me, I am speaking right now. You're not to take your, if you're coming up to speak as a citizen at the beginning of the thing, you're supposed to come up here. And also, the rules say that the chairman speaks for the board. The chairman, not you.
I'm not speaking for the board, I'm speaking for myself.
You speak several times for the board.
Okay, what we've always tried to do is try to be as inclusive in the meetings as we can. But there is a point in time where we have to get the business done and the meeting has to go on. But what I would like to remind everybody is that, it is my hope that everybody just remembers we're all neighbors here. And when we all live together in this municipality, and we need to think of that all the time. So I know it's tough to do in this world, crazy world we live in, but we can be different. So, any more public comment? We have a lot to get to tonight, I believe, so. Going once, going twice, anybody else?
Can I ask you something?
Please, you gotta come to the podium.
Oh,
Come to the podium.
are you kidding? With my mouth, you could hear me without a microphone. But, all I want to know is, I find, is it on? Yeah. I find that,
Name and location.
oh yes, Sandy Sterling, Heidelberg in Heidelberg off of Panadiva Road. And I find that there's still a problem with, and maybe you can I was gonna put signs up, and maybe you can do something about it. The bus drivers that run up and down Pat and Medina to pick up the kids at the church go way beyond the speed limit, okay? And they, like a bat out of hell, they are running up and down that road, and I'm telling you, I'm gonna pick up rocks and start throwing it at them. Because to slow them down, because they do not listen. I go this, I go stop, I got to do all kinds of things in the road when I'm walking my dog. And the next sound you'll hear is an ambulance and they're running me over. So maybe you can notify those bus drivers to slow the hell down. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. We can take care of
We
that.
should put a sign up that says, watch out for the nails. Thank you. Alrighty, okay, we're gonna move into the,
Okay, I have amendments to the agenda. I have 2 amendments. One is to amend the agenda to remove the second item under the chairman's heading. That item was added contrary to the policy setting, the agenda setting policy of the township. Number 1, members of the Board of Supervisors and the township manager can place items on the township meeting agenda. Items to be placed on the agenda must be forwarded to the manager and are due by noon at least 4 working days before the regular scheduled meeting. That item was not added to the agenda until less than 24 hours before this meeting. So it should be removed from the agenda as it is a violation of our agenda setting policy.
Is there another? You said you had 2, Paul?
The other is, so they put stuff on the agenda that they're not supposed to, and for the second month in a row, they've taken stuff off my agenda when they're not supposed to. I put on there to call for an executive session, and they took it off. So that's 3 violations. Who took it off this time? Or aren't we gonna answer that question either?
So as to the, Paul, you need to make a motion to amend an agenda. So if you want to make a motion, you can do that. I would say that as to, under the chairman, the second item, it's probably more appropriate to make a motion to table at that time, but it's up to you. So if you want to make a motion to amend the agenda, then do that.
Well, may I ask a question on that? It's, the item reads as a motion. So the amendment that I would make to the agenda would be to table it.
Okay, so you're not asking to amend the agenda as to that item?
I'm asking for it to be, I was asking for it to be removed.
So if that's what you'd like to do, you need to make a motion, and it has to go through the motion approval process.
I make a motion to table the second item under the chairman's section, to table the manager to complete the process. And I'm asking for it to be tabled because we don't know the final cost of it. And I'm also reiterating, if you have a policy, you gotta follow it, or you don't have one.
So the board can take up the motion to table at the time, or if the board wants to take it up now. So it could be Okay, so there, so,
Looking for a second. Do I hear a second?
So they do what they want, and then when it's brought up to them, they just ignore it. Ignore their own policy. Costs you all hundreds of dollars. Garbage.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, that's not
No,
the way
you're not.
I see it.
No, you're not.
It's not the way I feel or see it. But
Well,
I'm sorry you feel
if-
that way.
How about if I were to submit one 24 hours in ahead, would it be on the agenda? You know it wouldn't. So,
But we.
what about the executive session?
What about it?
Well, it was removed from my agenda as I submitted it. I would call for an executive session to discuss
We had
office.
we had an executive session.
But you didn't talk about the executive session issues I wanted to talk about. You said you didn't have time for it. You brought up you all called for that executive session.
Before we left and adjourned the executive session, I said, Paul, would it be okay if we had an executive session to discuss your things later? And you indicated that was okay. I didn't.
Because you weren't discussing them then.
Well,
So then, it should have been left on the agenda for me to call for it again.
In order to have an executive session, all three supervisors have to agree to it, correct? At least two.
yeah,
So again, they'll not have one,
you will get your executive session.
right, and they'll tell me the time, and if I can't make it, they'll have it without me.
We had to take up and prioritize what was going on. Again, sorry you feel the way you do, but you'll get your executive session. And I thought we already had covered that, so, but thank you.
Don't take it off my agenda. That's 3 violations of the agenda setting policy in 2 months.
But we have to move forward.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay,
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the April Board of Supervisor minutes.
I have amendments to the minutes.
Go ahead.
Okay, under public comment, paragraph starting Tara Wenzel, go to the end of the paragraph, should be inserted. Supervisor King stated he was out of order and to stop attacking a resident exercising their rights. The next amendment is paragraph starting Renan Castillo. Second line from the end where it says Supervisor King then spoke about his RTK requests and how they were handled. Solicitor writing cover letter that raised the cost.
Are you making a motion to amend?
I make a motion to amend the minutes in those 2 manners.
Is there a second?
Of course not. One other amendment. Under Chairman Timothy Hanson, second paragraph. Is PSATs for or against the tax collector being appointed? This is the insertion. The tax collector being appointed. The state Tax Collectors Association was against it. Supervisor King asked, is Sherry Thompson a member? Manager said yes. King, I'm voting with Sherry. And one thing I would like to point out before these gentlemen don't second it. I'm the one that runs my mouth the most up here. You read these minutes when you go to the website, you might not even think I'm here. They eliminate everything I say.
Did you wanna make a motion on that second?
I make a motion, thank you.
Do I hear a second? No second. So, I'll go back to making a motion to approve the April Board of Supervisor meeting minutes. Do I hear a second to that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Communication. V&A of Hanover and Spring Grove donation request. So, still looking for that donation to the V&A of Hanover. I didn't know if there were, was there any comments on that? Or, is that's looking for a donation from the township? And don't we normally in the budget?
Yes, that one's in the budget, and we used to send that out in September, you just need to approve it.
Okay, so we are going to be doing that. We're all aware of the Hoke House relocation donation request. I believe we've seen the signs in Spring Grove and out on Old Hanover Road. If you haven't heard about the Hoke House, is the oldest building in Spring Grove Borough and was the first business in town, early 1700s. Once it is relocated and restored, it will be used for veteran support services and community events. So we all like to see that come to fruition, rather than have it torn down, which would be a shame. So, if you could, you see Barb and, find out where to make the donation, or I think it's printed right on the side of the building pretty clearly. The York Area Tax Bureau Board of Directors meeting audit. What's the significance of that, Barb?
They always have an audit, and it's presented to the board for
Okay, so
acceptance.
okay. Public safety, we'll turn it over to Chris.
Fire report for the month of April, 18 calls, 10 of them in Heidelberg, 2 in West Van Ryn, 1 in North Dolores, 2 in Spring Grove Borough, 1 listed as other York County, that was Stewartstown Borough, 1 in Adams County, 1 in Carroll County. I averaged 4 firefighters per call, which kept us at 5 average for the year. I had 8 members down again for maintenance night, for 16 man hours. Electric vehicle training, I had 7 members show up. As soon as we walked into the training, we got a call. And by the time the call was over, no training. But I did have 7 members show up for it. Fuel report is attached. We were on dispatch for 3 residential structure fires, 1 fire alarm, 1 medical assist, 3 auto accidents with injuries, 1 wires down, 3 brush fires, 1 tree down, 1 investigation inside, 2 transfers, 1 water rescue at the lake, and 1 illegal burn. We were canceled prior to response 1 time. That was the Stewartstown call. That was one of the transfers. That was during their conflagration down there. They actually found an engine from Harford County that handled the transfer, so we didn't have to go. We were canceled en route 4 times, and we went to work 3 times. Engine 1 was out 10 times. Engine 2 and the brush were both out 6 times. If you noticed the bright red truck sitting outside when you all walked in, the utility is finally here. We picked it up on Monday. I have the scars to prove it. We already have it equipped. Everything from the Suburban is already on, plus some equipment, and we still have more to go. We're gonna get it lettered next week, and there are some things that we've already discovered that will need attention from Reading Truck. So it's finally in service. Well, finally here. It'll be in service very soon. That's about it for
Chris,
fire report.
when I walk by, I really like the new vehicle smell. That's something I haven't smelled since 1997 when I bought my last new vehicle.
That vehicle's over a year old. It has 470 miles on it. We're getting it inspected on Friday. That's how long Reading Truck had it.
It still has the smell, so.
Is that the hook and ladder that's?
No, ma'am, that's privately owned.
Oh.
That, one of our members owns that truck. I've explained in the past, I'll do it again. One of our members owns that ladder truck. He has storage for it. when, our senior member passed away a few months ago, the member that owns the ladder truck wasn't able to attend the service, but out of respect for Cleet, he wanted that ladder truck to be part of the arch. And it was. The problem was when he got it out of storage, he has to travel across a grass field, and it took 2 tractors to pull it out. So until the ground firms up, he can't get it back into his storage area, so it's still here.
Looks pretty. Yeah.
For 48 years old, it looks great.
Yeah.
Okay, this past Saturday, we had groundbreaking for our new headquarters, that was in Manchester Township. We had a pretty good turnout for that. Everything was out for bid. The bids are awarded for the construction of that, and I believe that, construction has started this week on the new headquarters. Cell tower, I believe that went out for bid. I don't know if the bids have come back yet for the cell tower. Would be up here at our substation. And we just continue to recruit for hiring purposes. We have 2 people who will enter the Harrisburg Police Academy this June.
Lieutenant, could you, just put it out there about the Explorer program, in case anybody has any kids that wants to?
Sure. If you know, if you have grandkids or kids between the ages of 14 and 20, and they have any interest in law enforcement or corrections, anything like that, we have a program. They meet at our station twice a month, and it's a good mentoring program for any kids, anybody who would be interested in police work, corrections, anything. We've actually, since the inception of the program, one person who completed it, we've hired him, Officer Braden Brandt, is working for us. So he went through the program and was hired by our department. But if you need information, it would be on our website, or you're more than welcome to stop up here at the station, and I can get you information for that.
I was told that, Penn Township Police were doing, traffic stops along Gitz Run Road that were in the Heidelberg Township section. And they indicated to the resident that they had permission to do so. Have they been given permission?
That would be incorrect.
Yeah. Well, he didn't say permission, he said they could be there, but the section they were in was clearly Gitz Run Road.
Depending on what type of violation, he was there for, the
They was-
violation might, if it was a registration or an inspection, violation, that's where the stop could have taken place.
Well, they were set up there. They were
So
set,
it's on what side of the road?
We don't
In
give
that
any-
section.
we don't give anybody any permission to work in our jurisdiction.
in that section of the road, both lanes are in Heidelberg Township. And I would ask the board to note that, a resident earlier talked about the decorum of the meeting and how it was supposed to be handled. You can't have members of our zoning board, rec park board, and so forth calling out in the middle of the meeting. So that should be noted when their time comes up for reappointment. Thank you.
Also, in public safety, I didn't realize it was under me. The month of March, Wellspan EMS responded to 20 calls in Heidelberg Township. And while I haven't, I'd like to piggyback off of the lieutenant for the police department. Porter's Fire Company, we had a junior firefighter program for kids between 14 and 18. Right now, we only have 2 junior firefighters. and, I'm sorry, 3. They are the future. None of us are getting any younger upstairs. If you know any kids interested, please send them this way, because the future's not looking real bright.
Go ahead with the planning and zoning.
Planning and zoning, last month we only received 2 applications and we issued 1 building permit, we collected $200. And the rest of it goes on for planning.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve a 90-day time extension to process the preliminary land development plan for Yazoo Mills prepared by DC Gunn Associates, bearing project number 5051-20. This extension will provide the applicant the additional time necessary to address the township engineer comments for Heidelberg Township and Penn Township and obtain approval from the York County District. This project's mostly in Penn Township. I think there's just a little piece in Heidelberg. So I'd like to make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to make the motion to approve application for consideration of a modification to Heidelberg Township subdivision land development ordinance for waiver request section 402.D.13, requirement for replacement area for sewage system. This request is for Andrew Meyer and James Miller, subdivision plan on 1337 Mousetown Road. The request is recommended for approval by the Planning Commission and Township Engineer. Do I hear a second for that motion?
Chairman,
Yes.
just a real quick question with the engineer. Isn't it Andrew Myers, not Meyer?
Yes, Andrew Myers.
Just wanted to make sure you have that correct.
Okay, we will correct that, Barb.
Thank you.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve application for consideration, sorry.
Clark, did you need to?
Oh, I just have a question.
Yeah.
I noticed you have the 2 waivers on there. What about the actual subdivision plan?
Where does it stand?
Good question.
We didn't get the final subdivision plan yet.
What's that?
I did not receive a final subdivision plan yet.
Yeah, it was, I emailed it to you the day after the planning commission meeting.
I need a set with signatures and everything on it. We have never received that, and I did tell the applicant.
So, yeah, that was the only thing we needed, the signatures, and I
So
have
I
them on.
can't take it to the board, so the planning commission signs it, and then the board signs it. And the engineer sees the final, and I didn't get a letter from the engineer, our engineer.
Well, I submitted to him and to your office the day after the planning commission meeting.
There was a changing of the guard with the engineer. One left
Yeah.
and one came on, so maybe he just sort of
Well,
quit.
no, the
He
new
was
engineer
there.
reviewed it.
Oh, was he?
He was
Yeah.
there.
Alright, alright.
Any action here?
Well, the planning commission didn't see it and sign it yet, and you.
The planning commission approved it.
I
We approved the
understand that,
waivers.
But, yes,
Yeah.
but the planning commission has to sign off on it before the board signs off on it. And they did not see the final with the changes from the engineer.
They,
I have,
the planning commission said they did not need to see the change because they were minor, it was just a matter of the owner's signatures.
there was a lot in there that I even brought up that needed corrected.
And I looked at that and that line was okay. You had said to
Well, you told
bring
me it wasn't
a
okay.
marked up plan.
Clark, it's not on the agenda.
That, can you add it to the agenda?
No.
No? Okay. Anyhow, I'll give you up to date. This is the lines we talked about, and this is adding to this piece here, so nothing had to be removed. Basically, it was just a lot addition for here that Myers is getting, and this is the remainder in orange that
And-
Mr. Villar's
And we
keeping.
asked for a plan showing all sections, so.
Yeah,
we
you
could
said bring a
understand it.
plan for the supervisors meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said we would need a plan to take the supervisors.
Okay, can I leave these here now?
Yes, you can.
do I need to go back to the planning commission?
No.
You can see it on YouTube.
Okay.
Okay, where do we leave off? I think we're good. A motion for Dean Nelson.
You did the first waiver.
You did you're the fifth one down, Tim.
Fifth one. One, two. Third one down, right?
You didn't call for the vote.
I didn't call for the vote for.
No, I stopped, I just wanted to stop you
Oh,
before you
that's
got
right.
with the Meyer thing.
Okay,
Sorry.
thanks. Sorry for the confusion.
Got you all messed up.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Thank you. Anything else? Yep.
Is there anything else you need?
No, I think we're good. Yep, we'll take a
We'll
look
look
at
at
it.
it, if we do, we'll call you.
Yep. Okay, I will start it over. Motion to approve application for consideration of modification to Heidelberg Township subdivision land development ordinance for waiver request section 402.d.13 requirement for replacement area for sewage system. This request is for Andrew Meyer and James Miller, subdivision plan 1337 Mousetown Road. The request is recommended for approval by the planning commission and township engineer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve application for consideration of a modification to Heidelberg Township subdivision land development ordinance for waiver request to sections 305.a and 402.c.10 and 406.a. All tracks show D-plot and tracks affected by subdivision are shown on a scale of 1 inch equals 50 feet. This request is for Andrew Meyer and James Miller.
That was Myers.
It's again Myers.
Myers.
Just
Andrew Myers and James Miller, subdivision plan 1337 Mousetown Road. The request is recommended for approval by the planning commission and township engineer. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. A motion to approve a final subdivision plan for Dean E. and Lorraine K. Nelson, 502 Iron Ridge Road, prepared by Doug Stumbaugh, Professional Land Surveyor, Group Hanover Incorporated, bearing project number 231350, dated 2/14/2024. Last revised 4/19/2024. This was recommended by the planning commission and will be voted on at the next Jackson Township Board of Supervisors meeting. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Finally, a motion to approve a final subdivision plan for Eric A. and Kelly K. Brew, 6895 East Mousetown Road, prepared by Doug Stumbaugh, Professional Land Surveyor, Group Hanover Incorporated, bearing project number 183352, dated 12/20/2023, last revised 4/15/2024. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, back to Chris.
Code enforcement, one certified letter has been sent, I haven't gotten replies yet, and there's been a couple of, business cards with call me, one to start processes before we go to, notices of violation, give people a chance before we start hitting them.
Finance is the next section. Motion to approve the March treasurer's report. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve April's bills paid report. Second? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Motion to accept April office maintenance activity report. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Motion to authorize treasurer to prepare a refund for the following per York County Tax Assessment Office. Okay. Heath and Christy Manley, refund amount of $546.29. Kingsley Equities 3 LP, refund amount of $21.68. Robert and Christine Duar, refund amount of $4.92, and Alan and Ann Har, refund amount of $4.92. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion to accept the right to know request report, which includes 13 new requests received in April for a total year-to-date of 31. 0 were voided by applicants in April. 6 were completed in April. 12 right to know officer requested additional 30 days for response. 2 were due in April. Received 0 right to know appeals in April, filed on previous right to know requests. March estimated township cost $1,700.91. Solicitor cost $1,404 for a total of $3,104.91. March estimated Heidelberg Township employee hours spent on right to know was approximately 46.75 hours. Do I hear a second to accept that?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes.
So 8 of the 13 are mine, and 3 of the 8 were because they didn't give me the information I asked for. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome, Paul. Highways, roads, and streets, is that Chris?
You gotta take the vote.
Oh, yeah, sorry, thank you. Let's take the vote. Make the motion again, I make the motion.
Second.
You second,
Aye.
and all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Back to Chris, I think, on the roads.
All the winter equipment was removed from the trucks. During all the rains, I was out clearing storm drains, making an attempt to keep standing water. Laurel Woods, where it notoriously floods. It's in the woods, it's leaves. Leaves get on the storm drain. If we clear them off, it won't flood. Same down at the bottom of Glatco Lodge, that was all corn fodder numerous times in one day on that storm drain. The boom mower. The boom mower is local. It is in Loganville at Douglas Equipment. The conversion to joystick controls is nearly complete. They found that they were missing a bracket plate that was unknown. A new one was priced out at $2,200. They found a used one for $600, which is the one we purchased, but we had to wait for it to come from South Dakota. We are expecting the boom mower to be back next week, and mowing will commence immediately upon its return.
Thanks, Chris. Moving on, there's no engineer news to report. Recreation, motion. Yes, go ahead.
Is there anything that residents can do to help support keeping those drains open? Is there anything residents should be doing?
If you have one close to your house and you feel there's to rake the leaves or debris off of it, by all means. Now, if it's already flooded, don't. Because if something happens, don't do that.
But just to keep them cleared up,
Yeah.
that is something that residents
Sure.
can do to try to help.
Safely, if you can do it safely without getting whacked by a car, absolutely.
Lots of luck on that one.
Okay, thank you. Recreation, motion to approve an alternate member to the Recreation Board. We received one application from Terry Lynn Ross. Do I hear a second?
Well,
Go ahead. Yeah.
Terry, would you be willing to serve on the water board instead? I think you'd be better fitted over there.
I go for it. I will go wherever I'm needed.
Okay.
I would like to put, Vicky Seneft into the alternate position on the water, on the park. So,
Is Vicky interested?
if I make that motion, we put Vicky in.
Can we do that with?
Table it.
And she didn't submit an application like we
That's
asked her
because
to,
she
right?
asked me if she needed to do it again, because she's put
Well, I'm just
multiple
saying.
ones in, so I told her no, but.
Okay, fine, because I,
In terms of the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it, because it's been noticed that you're going to vote something.
Okay, all right. So first we'll vote to put, Terry Lynn Ross on. We don't have that, so we can't do that today. Is she gonna have to fill another application out for that? I guess so.
no, I think we have one for that. I thought, so we have an application from them with everything's on it.
There's an application
Yeah.
from me, but it was for the rec.
Just the rec board, okay, so then, if you could take me one.
All right. Okay, then I'm making the motion to appoint, Vicky Seneff to alternate park board member. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Water, first quarter water bills were due 4/13/2024, and currently we have 4 delinquent accounts. And the engineer is preparing bids for security improvements at the water pump station. Turn it over to the solicitor.
Thank you. First is an announcement that the Board of Supervisors held an executive session on Monday, April 29, 2024, from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock p.m. at the Township Building to discuss personnel matters involving current Township employees under Section 708A of the Sunshine Act. Second item is the proposed resolution number 2024-07, establishing an ad hoc advisory water committee. The action item for the board is a motion to adopt resolution 2024-07.
I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion.
Yeah.
So, reading the resolution, I have 2 questions, one just raised by Matt. I'll deal with that second. Are these meetings of the water committee gonna be in public?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, subject to the Sunshine Act.
So that they are,
Yes.
okay. Number 2, under therefore be it resolved, it says, 3 members. 1 a supervisor, 1 who resides within the service area, and then the 3rd person that has particular experience relating to public water supply. Ms. Ross, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I did review your application for the rec park. I didn't see any mention of experience with a water system.
I didn't submit an application for the water committee.
Do you have experience in that field?
I will discuss that with Barb.
She has extensive service in, serving in the armed forces, and from what I can make, you're highly professional, and, I think,
Thank you, Matt.
yeah, so, when the time comes, we can
But I
certainly.
need to retip it here, because I don't know, I can do an application, I have to retip it on where I can fill it out.
Okay.
Is that all right, Paul?
I would hope so.
So we made the motion.
Is that all right with you, Tim?
Yeah, it's all right.
Is that all right with you, Matt? Good.
Yep. So we're gonna vote on that? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, I'd like to congratulate Chris Walker for completing the certification for building code official through PA Construction Codes Academy and the course in community planning through the PA State Association of Boroughs. Let's put our hands together for Chris. Thank you, Chris. Congratulations. Authorize the manager to complete the process of hiring Chris Walker full-time once documents are executed in relationship to benefits for his position as Assistant Roadmaster and Code Enforcement / Zoning Officer. Do I hear a second?
I will second that.
All in favor?
discussion.
Yeah.
So, I spoke with Chris, and I explained to him that I have confidence in him, respect him, but this position is terrible for Heidelberg Township. It's absolutely terrible. It's a full-time position that encompasses 2 job descriptions. The job description of assistant roadmaster as well as code enforcement. Under the job description that the township passed, assistant roadmaster is supposed to be a part-time job. Now we're putting it into a full-time, not just the roadmaster, I understand there's 2, but now it's being given to a full-time employee. It's unworkable in my mind. When you look at last month's minutes that we just approved, there was only 1 zoning application, only a couple zoning complaints. You're gonna pay somebody 80 hours a month to do a handful of complaints? It was never that way in Heidelberg Township before. In addition to the fact that I did not know in advance what we were gonna be discussing in the executive session. I'm sure the 2 gentlemen, Tim and Matt, next to my left, knew. And I wasn't able to go to the budget to come with prepared questions. This is a budget buster. They're not even telling us how much this is gonna cost. So that's one of the questions I would like to have answered here today. And where is it coming from the budget? I look at the salary entries on the road and the office, and the money's not there. So I don't know what the rush was about it, that you had to break the agenda setting policy to get it on here. I don't understand if it's not ready, if the documents aren't signed, why we have to run and do it. And I don't see where there's gonna be 40 hours of work between the 2 jobs. Remember back, and I wish Sandy, your husband, was here because he would have a good memory of this. Back when I was elected in 2020, we put together a plan for Larry Sterner and Sam to work X number of hours. And they busted to get it done. I really believe that. And they did a lot of good work. But guess what? You're gonna hire Chris for the remainder of the 8 months to do 680 hours where Larry and Sam could not get 600 in. So how is this all gonna happen? I don't understand it. Blows the budget. When I recommended Chris to be the code enforcement guy, I thought I was recommending him for a part-time position. I had no idea that the bureaucracy was gonna blow it up. This is a budget buster, and the work's not there, proven by past experience, proven by the very minutes that we voted for tonight.
The ignorance in that statement shows great deficiency in your thought process. The work is there, and we don't get enough done on the roads that things need to be done.
So how come the money's not in the budget for it?
Well,
Did you look at the budget?
I have to rob Peter to pay Paul on some of the line items, I guess, but now's the time.
Yeah.
Wasn't the rate that Supervisor Payne was speaking to based on that those number of hours was based for Larry to receive the bonus? As I remember, and my memory could be faulty, but as I remember, that hourly the contract was supposed to be to acquire a bonus.
What are you saying? He didn't want the bonus?
I think, I'm thinking you're correct, but I can't say for sure. But I know, Paul, you weren't completely happy with Larry's work either back in those days.
Bull.
Well,
See, this is what they did from the moment I walked in the front door, was try to play me against Larry Sterner. Matt and I went over to Heidelberg Township and spoke with Gerald Shue to learn, mostly for me to get information. At that time, I was trying to get a correction on the vote of that very bonus plan because I'd made a mistake. It was wrong, it wasn't done properly, and I fessed up to that. So I was trying to get a vote to change it. Matt indicated to me, well, Paul, if they don't start doing the job right, I'll give you that vote you're looking for. And when I reminded him that I wasn't looking for a vote to get rid of Larry or Sam, but I was looking for a vote to correct the bonus, it didn't happen, did it?
all right, we made the motion on this. Thanks for your comments. We made the motion on this. Now it's time to vote. And I vote in favor. Aye.
Aye.
No.
All right. Anything from you, Matt?
No, sir.
And turn it over to Paul. You're up, Paul.
So, I went to the last rec park board meeting, and it just astonished me that no effort by the board, it seemed to me, was being made to canvass or survey the township for recommendations, thoughts, hopes, dreams, what not to do in the park. So I know we had a newsletter once, political document, a newsletter once. Why can't we put a survey in the next newsletter? So I make a motion that a survey be included in the next newsletter, asking the residents for feedback on the recreation parks.
Yeah, in a second.
And you guys have barely had a chance to get organized.
Well, we do have a response.
Yeah.
Okay, can you make a motion?
So, the motion is to send out a survey?
To include it in the next newsletter.
So,
So,
I guess it's adequately listed under Paul's
Okay,
items
all right.
to vote on it, but, you know, the survey has to be created.
Correct. So let's hear him speak. Respond.
I'm actually quite surprised this came up because we did address this at our Park and Rec Board meeting, and what we requested, because it was made very clear to us that we were an advisory board only. And that was something that Paul reiterated several times, that we were an advisory board only. What we requested is, yes, we'd love to have resident input, because we are trying to come up with a master plan to present to the board as a suggestion for a way forward. However, what we requested, because we fall under the approval of the Board of Supervisors, we requested that the township residents send in, so we have a paper trail, so the Board of Supervisors have a paper trail into the front office, and then the front office can forward those to us, and that was what we requested. So it's a little disingenuous that it's being told that we are not soliciting guidance from the residents. We definitely are, and we welcome those guidances, but we tried to set up a paper trail that would keep everybody on board and on top, so misinformation like this does not get passed out.
so a survey would be a paper trail.
It would also cost more money for the newsletter as well.
So
Well, we're not doing a newsletter, do you know something I don't know?
Yeah, Go ahead.
I have a question, is this something that could possibly be done online, so it doesn't cost a mailing? Like, that residents could click on an online survey?
Yeah, that's a good
and it
idea.
would be electronic
For those that
residents,
have,
supervisors? That would,
Yeah.
that's state of the art.
That's cheap, yeah, I
How
agree.
about to do something
Yeah.
like that on the municipal website, once we were told that the municipal website is being revamped.
Yeah.
and at this point, we can't
Yeah.
take advantage of that field yet.
Yeah, so I'm gonna defer the decision to the park board on whether or not we do a survey and how we do it. And then we can go back and recommend it to the supervisors, and then we can, take it up at that time.
Makes sense.
So, Paul made the motion, there's no second, so,
That's correct.
So, second item,
well, hold on,
PSAT,
Paul, so you just made essentially a motion that dovetailed, so why don't you make that motion?
Okay.
Since it
I'll-
relates to the survey.
All right, so first of all, Paul's motion did not get a second. My motion is to let the rec board determine, whether or not a survey is needed, how it's implemented. And then to come back to the board of supervisors with, that recommendation.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
PSATs courses for board members. Besides the, courses that deal with, recreation and parks and so forth, they need to take courses on conducting a meeting. Because at the last I went to the Run Rec Park Board and I was very happy. The last one I went to, I was saddened beyond belief. 3 of the 4 members there questioned a resident about non-recreation, non-park activities, about her activities. And it was just so inappropriate. So I'm hoping that, the PSAT courses that they take are, helping them with running meetings and the understandings of their requirements and what's permissible and what's not. These meetings are where you question us, not where we question you or one other person questions another. So I would just ask that, I'll have some suggestions in the future for courses for those, board members. My last item is shrub planting. We received 25 shrub from our order. I wanna correct something that I said at the Rec Park Board meeting. I just said that Barbara told me to make the order. Instead, I recall that, I reminded her that there was only a little bit of time left to place the order, and she told me that she thought I was doing it. I said, bull blank, that you did not want me to do anything, but I will place the order. So that's how the order got placed. 25 plants there for wet ground, and I've spoken with Mr. Hilbert. He believes most of them can be put along Porter's Road where some trees were, the Atlantis trees were removed. So I would like to have the board's permission to work with Mr. Hilbert and his wife to get these plants planted.
Plan 'em.
Yeah, I got my permission.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. I have one other thing. It's not an agenda item, it doesn't require any action. I wanna read a letter I sent to the board, to the manager. April 23rd. I volunteered to repay the Medicare supplement and prescription benefits I received from the township in October, November, and December of 2020. Since the township has not invoiced me for the benefits I was not entitled to, I decided to pay $100 a month till paid off. I've paid $100 for the months of January, February, March, and April of 2024. None of these checks have been deposited. I have receipts for all payments. If my or my wife's identity or personal banking information is compromised, I will provide the information to the investigative body that checks were held at the township and that all people with access to the checks should be questioned, including the supervisors. I will not reissue any payments due to the checks being held past their effective date. Any bank charges will be charged against the balance due. Deposit the checks. And I'd just like to add a comment about that letter. If the checks are not deposited when they are still negotiable, that's pretty close. That's pretty equivalent to stealing money from the township. I have an issue with the executive session that was held. I'd like to read a section of the Sunshine Act 708A1. To discuss any matter involving the employment, appointment, termination of employment, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of performance, promotion, or disciplining of any specific prospective public officer or employee or current public officer or employee employed or appointed by the agency or former public officer or employee, provided, however, that the individual employees or appointees whose rights could be adversely affected may request in writing that the matter or matters be discussed at an open meeting. After the executive session, I submitted such a written request dealing with accusations at that executive session that were made against me. I've since been handed a letter by the solicitor that I was told I better read it before I open my mouth. So he could have sent it to me today. He could have emailed it to me. Instead, I got it less than 5 minutes before the meeting, so I haven't had an opportunity to read it or think about it or take it to my counsel. So I will review the legal issues in his letter, and if I feel that I need to defend myself, I will resubmit in writing that I want a public hearing. Thank you all. That's all I have for this evening.
Tim, I have a comment, please.
Yeah.
Sandy Stein, Starlighter's Road. Paul, I'm gonna address this to you, and I just want you to know that I'm more than somewhat offended that you continue to undermine the integrity of this board that was just established. And I'd also like to remind you that you came to our meeting and you were the one who introduced outside discussion, things that had nothing to do with our board, and you opened the door for it. It was legitimate discussion then. Go ahead and laugh all you want. I mean, you know, everything's funny.
Have you looked at the YouTube channel? Because it's not what happened.
You came to our meeting and you were the first to speak, and you brought up how this board meeting is handled.
I brought
That
up
had
public
nothing to do
comment.
That had nothing to do with our board.
Yeah, it was during public comment time.
it still had nothing to do with our board. You
And
came
you're-
there with the
and you're
purpose of
questioning-
sabotaging our meeting, and then, like usual, in the middle of it, you just get up and walk out. And now you're accusing us of confronting someone who, I feel since you opened the door, we had every right to question it. Or the people in the audience had the right to question it.
So when
I
I
just
said
think
that
if
public
you-
comment
if you
is to
think-
be
if you
made
would-
and
if you
directed
would
to
make
the
more
board,
effort to work with us,
so when I made the comment that public comment is directed to the board, you saw that as an invitation to question a resident.
no, I'm not saying that.
You do.
You introduced it. You introduced it, and then if I recall correctly, and I can go back and look at the tape again, then there was another member who provided more public comment. And it just continued from there. And Tara, out of the graciousness of her heart, let it continue, which it should have never happened. So, keep in mind when you come to our board meetings, maybe you wanna keep your comments concerning our board. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, I got some meeting announcements first. Planning Commission will meet May 8th, 2024, 6 p.m. at the Township Building. Rec Board will meet May 21st, 2024, 6 p.m. at the Township Building. Zoning Hearing Board will be May 29th, 2024, at 7 p.m. at the Township Building. And of course, the Board of Supervisors regular scheduled meeting will be June 5, 2024, at 6 p.m. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.